Well, who's going to be pleased after this race, having got the job done? The men's 10,000 metres A race, an hour or so back, we had the B race. That was won in 28-24, I think it was. It was on the slow side, but this is a big field, 27 starters, and this is a much different affair. Very high caliber field. My lady of Israel goes on the outside. It's only 28-minute man at his best, but there are plenty of men in this field who have done, if not under 27 minutes, then very, very a long way under 28 minutes. Can tell you that 19 of them run personal bests this year. Lobalu, well, he promises to be a real danger man. The Swiss, 27.36 this year, but I think he's worth a lot quicker. He's fabulously fast at 3,000 and 5,000 metres. 7.29 a couple of years ago for 3,000. 12.50 in Oslo just 10 days or so ago. Gondois Mohammed of Zakaria Mohammed of Great Britain going in this one. There's Almgren. He is the danger man too, a real talent. Great form, great range. He was a World Junior bronze medalist at 800 back in 2014. He's reinvented himself and is now a world-class performer at 5,000 metres. Indeed, he ran 12.50 in Oslo, new national record 12 days ago. Jan Schrub, the Frenchman, also very strong. The bronze medalist from 2 years ago in Munich. Watch Schrub. Can tell you there will be a new champion. There's no Yaman Belhan Kripa in this one. He's pulled out at the 11th hour. We've heard that about an hour and a half ago. So the 2022 champion is not here. But Jimmy Gressier is. Another blue vest, but this time for France. Gressier, fabulous performer, 12.54 for 5,000 metres. That was when he was in the 11th in Oslo. Just a couple of weeks back. 27.07 on the road he's run for 10k, 27.24 on the track. He's much quicker on the road than on the track. But look out too for Pat Diva of Great Britain in fabulous form, 27.08 this year, his new lifetime best, former NCAA winner. Oh, somebody not happy. Toes behind the line, please, gentlemen. It's a challenge for some people. Pat Diva of Britain, much hopes resting on his shoulders. He ran a 13.04, 5,000 metres indoors in Boston back in February. And then 27.23 at the night of the 10,000s, a month or so back. He's in very good form, is Diva. This promises to be a fascinating race, but no pacemakers. How will the early pace be? Away they go then. It was a slowish pace in the B race earlier on, but the temperature now is more kind than it was for the athletes in the B race. It's gone down another degree or two. It's about 20 degrees here, and actually because we're all acclimatized, and these athletes should all be, it feels very, very user-friendly. Easy for us to say that sitting here in the commentary box high above the finish line in the Stadio Olimpico. Now, this is interesting. Lobalu going out hard. Lobalu, the bronze medalist in the 5,000 metres a couple of days ago. I'm joined by Wendy Sly here in the commentary box with me. And Wendy, the big question mark, is somebody going to really make this a strong race from the beginning, or is it going to be a typical championship race?
Well, yesterday's women's 10,000 metres, it was good to see them go out at decent pace and run a proper true run race. It looks to me as if they've gone out fairly slowly, and they're just playing a bit of a cat and mouse game right now, I think, with everybody just looking around, seeing how people are feeling, but yeah, jogging along right now.
Yeah, it's going to be about 70 seconds at 400 metres. 70.45 pedestrian tempo in the early stages of this men's 10,000. Back to this 10,000 metres. The first lap was 70. Get this, the second lap 78, the third lap 77. They are jogging. This is significantly slower than marathon pace. It's pedestrian stuff. And now Pat Diva has had enough. The Briton moves to the fore. It's his third 10,000 of 2024. He was 10th in California back in on the 16th of March, and then he ran the night of the 10,000s 2 months later, where he ran 27.23. But Diva just trying to keep a semblance of respectability to this, Wendy.
I was just thinking they probably warmed up at a quicker pace than they were running earlier. He's just gone to the front probably to get clear of the rest of the field. It's a big field this evening, and it's easy to get tripped or bashed a little bit when everybody's so bunched up. but it's good to see him at the front. He ran really well at night of the 10,000 PBs, looked fluid and strong, led for quite a bit of that race, and he's doing that again now.
Back to this 10,000 metres, then they come through this time with 18 laps to go, and it is desperately slow. I can tell you that the first kilometre was at 3:08, the second kilometre 2:56. After about 4 laps, they were running at 31-minute pace. Voigt of Germany leading at the moment, but not doing much more really than just leading them round at a nice, steady, relaxed tempo for these fellas. Many of them will do their tempo runs, possibly their Sunday morning runs, at a quicker pace than this. Diva at the front once again, the 27-year-old. Spent much of his career at the University of Tulsa in the USA, a degree in accounting, so he'll be working his numbers. Rory Leonard there, another of the Brits, towards the back of the field. And I'll tell you what, if the great Mo Farah was in this race, he'd be at the back of the field. He'd just be loping along there, watching what was going on up in front, knowing full well he'd got a bunch of gears to go through.
There's only, I think, 3 seconds between the first runner and the last runner in this race at the moment, which gives you some indication of the pace that they're running at. Everybody is still able to keep their momentum and keep going. And as I say that, there's 5 just starting to break away, and most of the athletes that we would expect to be at the front of the field are in that front group. So it's going to be interesting to see how the next couple of laps unfold.
Well, I wonder if Diva has had a shout from the sidelines or something, because all of a sudden he's lost patience, or so it would seem, and he's striding out much more strongly, and everybody's had to raise their game. This sort of ripple effect back through the long line of single file runners. But Diva's still leading then the Britain as they come down the straight. This time they'll see 15 laps to go. The acceleration has been maintained. It's not super quick, but it's just lapping a slightly more respectable tempo now. Jimmy Gressier, by the way, was back in 15th place, 14th place as they went through the previous lap. He's now moved up into about 6th or 7th in the headband there. The dark glasses, yeah, there he goes through the Frenchman. He perhaps one of the pre-race favourites. They're around 25 seconds tempo behind the B final at this stage already in this men's 10,000 metres. They're on not much more than about 30-minute tempo. Voigt, FIFA, watch FIFA. He's a good racer, is the Spaniard. Bienenfeld, Guide, Shrub. We can't read too much into any of these positionings at the moment because it's such early stages. They're well before halfway, and the pace has been so slow. Nobody has dropped. Everybody is up there. All 27 starters, and until somebody really does something dramatic, and I'd love to see that. I'd love to see somebody light this race up, light the fire under these runners. The 5,000 metres was very similar. It never really took off, did it? Until about 10 or 11 laps in, and the predictable winner did indeed win.
Quite often championship races are like this, and I'm sure all of these athletes would have spoken to their coaches before the race. They all need to think about their own personal strengths with 14 laps to go. Not everyone can sprint the last lap as fast as some of the best people in the world, such as Mo Farah, who, as Tim said, was a master at running at the back of the field for a huge part of the race and then accelerating to get to the front and win. And not every athlete in this field is going to be like that, so tactics will play out.
Well, there's water out there on the back straight if they need it. It's about 20 degrees here in Rome. 4K 11:40. That was a 2:45. Bit more respectable, that 4th kilometre as they approach halfway. Well, we hope they'd get motoring. They've just gone through halfway in 14:30. That's right, 29-minute pace. The 4th kilometre was a 2:45, and many will have hoped that that was the beginning of something a little bit more exciting and respectable and challenging. But no, the 5th kilometre was a 2:50. So they've slowed back down, and the cat and mouse game that Wendy Sly beside me referred to earlier on is very much playing out here at the middle of the race.
Yes, I think we anticipated there that there might be a move by Lobalu or Diva, but now Diva seems to have gone in front and taken the initiative again. So Lobalu and Diva are sharing the lead right now, back and forth.
Yeah, Lobalu in 2nd place behind Diva. Guide of Ireland in 3rd place. And I think Lobalu moved to the front a couple of laps ago, and I thought, right, he's going to do something here, but he didn't. He didn't really inject any tempo. And Diva just looks increasingly frustrated here. He goes through with 11 laps to run, And there's a definite acceleration, couple of metres gap between him and Lobalu, and a couple of metres behind him back to the Irishman Guide in third place. The French fans in those little cocked hats of theirs roaring on Jimmy Gressier and his compatriots in this one. But Gressier at the moment still just tucked in there, enjoying the ride, not playing any part in the antics up at the front. Al Shrub, remember the bronze medalist a couple of years ago, is up there in, what, 5th place at the moment.
Yes, I think the hats are a trademark of Shrub's. I think he wore one after the finish of the European cross-country last year, crossing the finish line, put on one of the hats. So I think that's a tribute to Shrub. But Gressier, as you say, Tim, a strong athlete, a strong European athlete. He's won the European cross-country, and he's working his way up that front pack in the field.
We're looking at one or two of the athletes towards the back of the field at the moment. There's Mohammed of Great Britain left a picture. One of the Irish athletes there, that's Barry Keane, just tucked in right at the back and moving up down the outside now is one of the French athletes, that's Simon Bedard. Diva from Guide of Ireland, the Briton from the Irishman, FIFA in third place, Lobalu, the Swiss, in fourth. Shrub just hanging in there, is always around 4th, 5th, 6th in 5th place. Almgren, the Swede, who has such a dramatic increase in ability, he's back in 6th place at the moment, maybe 7th. Amazing progression from Almgren over the last couple of years. Back in 2021, his 5,000 best was 13.29. The following summer, he ran 13.01. And he's a 1:45 800-metre runner. He's got enormous speed when he needs it. 3:32 at 1,500 metres. Almgren there in the yellow, back in 6th place at the moment. But not wanting to get involved in any of the racing at the moment. He'll be delighted with the way this is going, which is desperately slow. They went through 6K in 17:13 because Diva injected a little bit of pace. That was a 2:43, by far the fastest kilometre of the race.
And it's interesting, isn't it, with 8 laps to go and only a handful of athletes off the back of this pack, it's anyone's race right now, and nobody seems to be prepared to take it on just yet.
Well, Pat Diva of Britain not really doing any damage to anybody of any significance here, but being challenged now by Getahon, one of the Israelis in this lineup, who's one of the lesser lights, I suppose you could say, Getahon. But he has moved up now, and maybe he will help Diva inject some respectability to this one. 5 times the Israeli champion. He ran 27:34 in London, back on the 18th of May in North London. His lifetime best also came in London last year, 27:33. Looks comfortable enough, doesn't he? But still nothing significant happening, and you can always tell that when it's 4 or 5 across at the front end, and they go through with 7 laps to run, and nobody interested in turning this into a really hard chase from a long way out. It's very, very similar to the 5,000 metres in its general tone.
Yes, as I said earlier, this is very difficult to call this race. Shrub's just moved up from 8th place into 4th there, so he's starting to make a bit of a statement in this race, but really no one is pushing it on. They're still running at a fairly comfortable speed here, and as I say, only a few athletes really have dropped back at this stage.
I think it's Gondouin of France who's moved up into 5th place. Shrub a couple of places further back. Almgren running a smart race, frankly, in that yellow of Sweden, so easily spottable. He's just taking his time. Was 8th in the Stockholm 5,000 last week. Yeah, really recently. And there he ran 12:50, a national record. In fact, that was in Oslo, just double checking, excuse me. But Lobalu now Kimeli in 2nd place for Belgium, and then Diva, then Gondouin. Diva looks okay, doesn't look too stressed, does he?
No, this will be a comfortable pace for Patrick Diva, and he's in great form this year. His run in at the night of the 10,000 PBs, which is one of the bigger European 10,000 metres, and as Tim's noted, that a lot of the times that the athletes have produced in the last 12 months have come from that event.
7K 20:03. So that one a 2:50. It slowed right down again in that 7th kilometre. There's 1 or 2 athletes shown signs of frustration, but they're not pushing on with their efforts. Down the back straight then, still about 20 men in this leading pack in the 5,000 metres. Still nobody has done anything When they come round the next time, they'll see 4 laps to go. It'll be a mile to go, and in fact, Jimmy Gressier just staying off the curb there. Brian Fayerbeilen just struggling a little bit there as get dropped away from the pack. Keane as well. They both hung on as long as they can in these warm conditions, not desperately stretching these athletes, not testing the athletes too much, but plenty of athletes are surviving it okay.
I'm feeling as if they wound it up just a tad there. Maybe it was the sight of the 4 laps to go on the sign there at the finish line. It just felt that there was a slight move to go a bit quicker. But you still have a large number of athletes in that leading pack.
Huge number of athletes. Yes, this is a real cat and mouse job now, like a game of chess, as one of the Spanish athletes moves up round the outside, and that is FIFA staying off the curb. Gressier, remember, has fabulous speed. He's a sub 13-minute 5,000 meter runner. He's a world class at 1500 as well. Diva still up at the front, looking comfortable. Rory Leonard in there as well, but he's at the back of this field now. Looks like he's just beginning to suffer a little bit. He's got to try and go with this. Inevitably, there's going to be a surge. All these fellas, Wendy, have got to be preparing themselves psychologically for the big hit when it goes in. They come round now, they'll see 3 laps to go. When's it going to happen?
You almost feel with that front few that they're looking at each other to see who's going to go first. Patrick Diva's led for a huge part of this race, and he's still in the front right now with only 3 laps to go.
Well, that was only a 64, that lap they've just gone through. Nothing really testing. Too many of them are looking comfortable. Almgren in particular there, moving up in second place. And he's loping. He's actually loping, the Swede. He looks so comfortable, bouncing along, unstressed. Looks like he could go many, many more laps at this tempo. Moving up round the outside is Ndikum Winayo then. Watch him, 5th in the 5,000 earlier in the week. Didn't run aggressively in that 5,000. I thought he could have done a lot more. That was 4 days ago. But he's very quick, he's very strong in Ndikum Winayo, and he's there in 4th place. Probably the shortest man in the field, the former Burundian, in the colours of Spain. Pat Diva here, running a good race, but is he there just to be shot at?
Well, you've got danger in the colours of Sweden there, and you've got Almgren as well as FIFA of Spain. So there's 2 or 3 danger men there ready to pounce, but Patrick Diva seems in command with only 2 laps to go.
Well, Diva has run the most determined race of all of them. He's the only one who's gone to the front and tried to push it on a little bit. A few accelerations have gone in, and maybe that was a tactic he wanted, to turn it into a bit of a fartlek through the second half of this race. They're inside the last 800 now, just over a lap and a half to run. Diva from Almgren, from Gondouin. And then it's Ndikum Winayo of Spain, the former Burundian, tucked in there, just striding along. Hasn't shown his colours at all yet. Jimmy Gressier up to 5th place in those glasses. That's the highest he's been through the whole race. Also up there, Lobalu as well, in the colours of Switzerland. But Gressier looking menacing there. And Diva, a little glance over his shoulders. He wants to time this one right, because this has come down to virtually a middle distance race.
Yes, and there's now only 7 in that leading group, and it's gone from being about 3 times that, only a couple of laps to go. And well, that Diva shows you the acceleration.
Diva has wound it up wonderfully into the final lap now. That penultimate lap, 59.9. Almgren, Shrub, and Ndikum Winayo. Lobalu is there. Gressier is there. Who's going to take this now? Diva left wanting for speed as they pour past him. He's done so much of the work. But Almgren, I tell you what, the Swede is going to be tough to catch here. Former world junior medalist at 800 metres. He's a 1:45 man. He's many seconds quicker over 800 than anybody else in this field. It's race. It's Shrub moving up well down the outside there. And coming around the outside now is Lobalu. Lobalu, has he got the legs? Has Almgren got it? And Ndikum Winayo trying to come through. Gressier hasn't got the speed. It looks like it's going to be a gold here for Lobalu of Switzerland. He's pushing on hard, and he's going to beat Shrub here for the gold. Shrub takes the silver. And Ndikum Winayo takes the bronze for Spain. The last 800 metres, 1:55.7 I got it, but all the hard running, frankly, coming over that final 400 metres. The rest of them pour across the line, and as with the 10,000 metres, not many men can come out of that race with a great deal of credit. At least Pat Diva of Britain gave it a go and tried to wind it up in the latter stages. The winning time just outside 28 minutes.
That must have been a very frustrating race for a lot of those athletes. It was a frustrating race to watch, and it must have been a frustrating race to be part of. Lobalu went into this race as one of the favourites, and to be fair to him, he did actually do some of the work during the 25 laps of the track.
Well, the Al-Shrub fan club there cheering him on. It is gold for Switzerland, though, in the men's 10,000 metres. The closing pace was impressive. Almgren finishing in 4th place underlines that, because he's in fabulous shape at the moment. Gressier in 5th place. Diva ending up in 6th place. A brave run from the Briton. Gueton, Ukelfen, Bedard, Gondouin. Some great runners there who've run 30 seconds, 40 seconds and more quicker than that winning time. Nowhere near the medals. Yeah, a cat and mouse game. And you know who usually wins that one? Just one performer. Almgren looks absolutely fed up, doesn't he? I honestly thought he might have done enough as he reached 200 to go in the lead, but then they came pouring past him in turn, and he ends up in 4th place. And whose shoes are those? That's surely not the winners, is it? Lobalu. Dominic Lobalu, former footballer, left South Sudan and took refuge in Kenya at the age of 8 and has ended up in Switzerland, and he's done his adopted nation proud. We know he's fast, we know he's strong. 7:33 in Stockholm just over a week ago. But Almgren here, well, I know everybody in Sweden will have been screaming at their TV sets to see him hold on here for a medal. But it did come down to a bit of a lottery, frankly. It always does, doesn't it, when you leave it late?
Yeah, well, that's the difference with championship running. Quite often it can be this way. And it's tough for these guys, you know, the hours and the miles that they put in to then jog round for most of the race.
Well, a typical championship 10,000 metres then ends in gold for Dominic Lobalu of Switzerland. Ralf of France taking that silver, and Thierry Dickamonai of Spain the bronze in what was a fascinating 10,000 metres. Confirmation of the top 10 then. And Lobalu, Shrub and Dickamonai come away with the goodies, the medals, gold, silver, bronze to Switzerland, France and Spain. Almgren frustrated there. Jimmy Gressier very much the same, I suspect. Pat Diva, well, he did all he could for that fighting 6th place. And there's the rest of them between 11th and 20th. It was a tough night for many fellas out there.